everyone, and welcome to Silver Tears Tarot. It is always so good to have you here. So, coming up, we've got this full moon in Aries on October 9th, and it's going to be full a little bit before 4 o'clock p.m. where I am. This month, this moon brings a lot of focus to relationships and healing. So I figure this is kind of a full moon tailor made for us here at this collective. Our reading this time around is going to be focused on that broad angle and just to see what sort of energy is coming with this full moon. But we know we might expect to hear something about healing and relationships, or at least maybe to think about what we do learn in that context. So this reading is general. It's all signs. It's timeless. So even though I'm pulling it around the time of the full moon, you may find it later, and that might be the right time for you. And it won't resonate with everyone. But if it does for you, be sure to like and subscribe. If it really resonates with you, you might want to check out a few more of the recent readings because there have been some really awesome ones lately that have felt very connected in many ways. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I am reading for you today from the Wildwood Tarot, and then I'm going to be clarifying with the As Above deck, which is part of the As Above, So Below set. So the first thing that we're looking into, this is that broad all-purpose spread that I like to use to just kind of say what's happening. What's happening around the time of the full moon? And so, kind of, what's the big idea? What is this reading truly about? So, we'll look at the lens that the first card that we look at is what is the reading really about? And then the next one is kind of the lens that we look at it through. So, we just want a card to understand what this reading is really about. I'm just taking the top card. So we've got the Queen of Arrows, but it's in reverse. And so this one's going to be about vulnerability. That's been a common thing to come out lately. So this is that air energy. It's the Queen of Arrows, but a lot of times in the upright, she is potentially guarded. She is and it doesn't matter, this is just the personality. So it could be about you, it could be about your person, doesn't matter who's male or female, doesn't none of it matters as far as gender is concerned. It's just the personality and the tendencies of the character on the card. And so the Queen of Arrows is she cuts things out. It's like that Queen of Swords, and in the reverse, she's allowing. She's a little bit more accepting, and it's actually it gives me that sense of vulnerability. So we'll confirm, or we'll take a little bit closer of a look when we go to clarify. But that's what's coming out for me right now. So that's the big idea for the reading. It's about vulnerability, and so let's see. What the lens is that we're looking at it through. Or, sometimes I think about it as kind of the weather for the reading. And we have the world tree. Whoa. Okay, so the world tree, this is about completion, end of a cycle. Something is coming to it's coming to an end, but it's also it's you've really worked for something, and there's something that's coming out of that. So I can't wait to clarify that one. It's got a great feeling coming from it. So there's a sense of vulnerability and being more accepting of ideas, not necessarily that this person, if it's you, and I think this is you, it's not that you weren't accepting of ideas before. It's just that it's kind of it's a defining characteristic for whatever it is that we're getting this reading about. And the weather around it is this sort of coming into yourself sort of energy. I guess that's the best way for me to describe it. So let's see what it is that's sticking out the most. What is kind of the most exciting, or I don't know if exciting is the right word, but what is sticking out the most in this situation that we really need to know? What is it that is sticking out the most that we really need to know in this situation? It looks interesting so far. You have a very open energy in that first card, and that's the reason for the reading. So we have the Queen of Vessels. And that's the Queen of Water energy. So it's like the Queen of Cups. And I typically do just take that top card unless I am drawn to take more than that. So the Queen of Cups, this energy is it's incredibly loving, but it's all about allowing the flow of emotion, encouraging the flow of emotion, and it's just like that sense of unconditional love. So this is the thing that sticks out the most about your situation, and I think that's kind of an amazing thing to stick out the most about a situation, especially one where it's sort of culminating into this happy ending sort of energy here, and there's a vulnerability that seems like a good thing that's happening here. Let's see what else. Let's just dig a little bit deeper and understand what else we need to understand about this, because we asked what was the thing that sticks out the most. What else is important here? So we have the Seven of Stones. That's like so that's Earth energy, and so that's like the Seven of Pentacles. Um, this one, it talks about healing. It feels like healing, but it's also investiture. So it's about that feeling of having invested yourself, your energy into something, and it's going to yield a reward. So that'll be interesting when we look into it. But it's also, it does have that, it actually says healing on the card, and it has that feel to it. So there's a lot of really beautiful energy going on here. Let's see kind of what's hidden. So what else do you need to know, but something that you wouldn't necessarily be able to tell from your vantage point? So what is it? What else do you need to know? We've got something that turned over. The Hooded Man. Okay, so this is like the Hermit in the traditional deck. And this is about going off in that thinking cave, okay? And so let's go ahead and put this together for a second. And in a minute, we're going to ask, what's likely to happen in the near future. And this is, remember, this is around this, the energy that is around this full moon period for you, for the collective. That's what we're looking at. So there's an openness, a vulnerability that's kind of just a really beautiful thing. There is something that is coming to a head, or it's coming to a completion sort of feeling, but it's a very positive completion. There's free flowing love, and it doesn't seem like there's a bad side to that. And then here you have healing, and like I said before, investiture, understanding that there is going to be something that comes from this investment, and then this is investment in the self, honestly. But you have you've gone off into your thinking cave here in the not too distant past, and there is something in what you learned there that you probably, this is the hidden energy. So there's something that you learned there that you haven't realized the true value of yet. So just keep watching for that. Something that is a recent lesson, and something that you did get it. Okay, this is something that you did get, but it is going to become more useful to you, and you're going to be so thankful that you had that experience. So let's take a look now to see kind of what is happening next for you here. And again, this is my near term next. When I ask this question with most of my spreads, and they vary just a little bit. If you watch, they vary just a little bit. This is the wide open spread that really, what does spirit want to tell us? What is that message that needs to come through? And it could be anything around this full moon time frame, and so we're looking at kind of what is that next step, what is the energy favorable for, because we know that there is always the opportunity for us to put our free will into a situation and steer things and change it. But this reading can tell us what the energy is favorable for, so that we at least have some idea of kind of what's coming our direction most likely. So let's take a look at that and see what that next step looks like. There's a lot of really great energy here. This is the one we want. It's the Knight of Arrows. And no, we don't want this. Sometimes I'll get the sense I need to take both cards, but or more than one card, but I have to actually lay eyes on it first. So the Knight of Arrows, it's an interesting card because, so it's like the Knight of Swords. It's a very action oriented card. It's also about making a decisive forward moving sort of action. That's what's coming next. So my question is, this action is being done by whom, and what is the nature of this? So I'm curious about that. Is that it's a Knight of Swords or air energy, so it could be about communication. Is that what we're looking at? Is somebody reaching out? Is it that you're going to make a decisive motion in a direction? So we'll take a look at that. Let's go ahead and start clarifying with the As Above deck. Like I said, it's a set, as above, so below. And there are two different decks, two complete full decks. And this is the first one. So we're looking to clarify that Queen of Arrows that we have. We've got one card in reverse. And so this Queen of Arrows in reverse is about vulnerability, like I was saying. It's about openness, a newly established openness. And the transformation card, I'm going to see what else comes out. But we've already got the transformation card that's fallen out to clarify this for you. So this is interesting because we know even before the transformation card came out that this was a newly budded sort of energy. And it's not that you weren't open before. Like I said, but there's a new level to it, and there's something about it that's kind of the star of the show now. So we also have, okay, this is the God, and it is in reverse. So this is like the Emperor card. And so this is kind of that unbalanced side of the Emperor too, where it's trying to control and grasping for control. And this is really what you're fighting against. So as you're going through this transformation at this time of this full moon, this vulnerability is really about letting go. But there's a lot of fear associated with this letting go. And you're going to be feeling some of that fear. Okay. And just know this is very ego based. It's just notice the things that come up that talk you into trying to be less vulnerable, and what they tend to be protective of you, but they also tend to be protective in sort of an egoistic way. So watch for that, and really evaluate it. It isn't that you shouldn't be listening to the voice that tells you to take caution. It's just that you should be evaluating what it says. Make sure that you aren't just taking it at face value. And then as far as transformation is concerned, this is new ground that you're covering. This transformation is happening for you. It is becoming a big deal around the time of the full moon. And we know that this could be relevant then to relationships. It could be relevant to your healing. It is definitely relevant to your healing. Let's see about this new world that you seem to be walking into. So that's, remember, the sort of the flavor or the weather around this reading. And so this is kind of the backdrop, so this is this really fabulous energy of coming into yourself. Let's get some clarifiers for that. So remember, this is around that full moon period, or, if you see it at a different time, it could really be for you a different type of, it could be different timing. But like I said, doing the reading around the time of the full moon. So we have the Earth card. Well, it's the Eight of Earth. So it's like the Eight of Pentacles. This is about a new level of mastery that you have reached, and it feels like self-mastery with this piece over here about the backdrop, well, not the backdrop, the main idea of the reading being this new vulnerability and openness that you have. You've had to accomplish something to get to this. And let's see here. So the other one, the next card that comes out to clarify that is the Mother of Fire. It's like the Queen of Wands. Okay, so this is incredibly passionate energy. The Queen of Wands is capable of really pushing, really doing amazing things, and she is not the energy of sitting still. This is definite energy of motion. But you have to watch out. Sometimes she does things, she gets a little bit too intense about the way she does things, and the reasons that she does things gets a little fiery. And so that certainly has its place, but make sure that if it's rising within you, that you are using it when it makes sense to use it, and making it a tool and not something that works against you. Because if you have fire that you put into the wrong situation, it can definitely work against you. And you have something amazing happening here, but you're already balancing, and it seems like you're doing a great job of balancing it. But you're already balancing this new sort of energy that has you feeling accomplished, coming into yourself. You have done something here that has caused you to like shed an entire layer of difficult, like I sometimes talk about healing as being like the layers of an onion, and that's not original to me. Lots of people have said that. So but like, the layering the layers of the onion, and you have to work at it one piece at a time. Or the joke is that you have to peel it away layer by layer, and every layer makes you cry. But it's you're peeling away a layer here. So this is a new sort of vulnerability. It's a new transformation into that area. It's something where you're going to feel inclined to try and get control of things. And this is how you it could potentially do that, where you might be not making your moves for the wrong reasons. Excuse me. More that you would be potentially doing them in a way that doesn't serve you or doesn't serve everyone. So let's take a look here at this Queen of Vessels here. And remember, this is like the Queen of Cups. Let's get a couple of clarifiers for that one. This is that beautiful energy that is the thing that sticks out the most here. And remember, that is, oh, I thought for sure one of those was going to pop up. When they all fall face down like that, I just let them go. They didn't feel right. But remember, this is the thing that sticks out the most in your energy in this time frame. So this is a really fabulous thing. Okay, so, oh, check this out. This is the equivalent of the Lover's card here. Um, oh, I turned it over at the wrong place. Yeah, we have the equivalent of the Lover's card here. It's the Beltane card. So this is this is about free flowing love and free flowing emotion. This is about really much the same thing. So this is really fantastic energy. That's the thing that's sticking out the most for you here. My gosh. That's like it's also got that energy of a choice in love, but it's just very loving. It's not heavy on the choice. So the Lover's card is often around a choice. This one doesn't feel especially like that. Like there is a choice involved, but that's not what sticks out the most. What sticks out the most is really just that free flowing, amazing levels of love. That is, and that's what sticks out the most about your overall situation. So the other card that comes in here is, and this is interesting. So this is the Seven of Earth in reverse. And so this is the opposite of this card that we see here, although it does feel a little bit different. So this is that kind of that self-doubt. So it's interesting because as you look at it, it's like everywhere here, it tells you, here's this really wonderful thing, but here's the thing that you have to watch out for. And it seems like it keeps falling in this position here. This is a really wonderful thing here. You've got this new movement into vulnerability and openness, but be careful about your attempt to control it. Then you've got here, you're moving into kind of this coming into yourself, amazing energy of self mastery, but be careful that you don't cut corners or do things that don't necessarily aren't being done the right way. And then you have this situation, the thing that sticks out the most in your energy at this time is just this free flowing love, further modified by and clarified by love, like the most beautiful springtime. Beltane is in the spring, sort of love. And then the thing that you have to watch out for is it's almost like not being present. Okay, it's almost that feeling of not being present because you are focused on something else. It's that sense of always being fooling around with the camera and missing the thing that you're there to take the picture of, and you're there to, experience. So just be sure and make sure that you are actually remaining present for the amazing things that are happening here, because it seems like that energy is just really around you. But then here we see that it is a little bit different of a feeling. So it was that healing feeling, which isn't surprising because we saw that this moon was going to deal with relationships. It was going to deal with healing. And so we see some really positive things happening here. These are more on the individual level, but they're very healing oriented. This could be more in the area of relationships, this piece with the free flowing emotion, because a lot of times that's most beneficial when you share it. So let's take a look here at this Seven of Stones, this healing Seven of Stones, and see what comes out to clarify that one. Okay, let's see. We have, oh, well, so this is like the equivalent here. Let me turn it upside up, right side up for you. This is the equivalent of the devil. Um, it's in reverse. And so I'd be curious to understand because there's a sense of kind of relief there, which is it was almost like a weight was lifted when I looked at the card and I was like, why would that be? This doesn't seem like good news, but it's in reverse. And, you know, to feel like you're coming out from under the thumb of something or out from under something's control is kind of an important and exciting thing. So let's see. Oh, looks like we've got another one here, and it is the elemental of fire. Okay, so this is all right. So this is a really sort of daring energy, almost with a tinge of curiosity to it. But the idea here is this is kind of that next step. What's on that next level? So you have this love that's here on the surface, and you're really able to feel that and that flow of emotion. But under the surface, there's also this feeling here of a very deep, visceral sort of healing that's happening here. And up here, I felt like it was, you know, losing a layer of the onion, but it's really like a a layer of something that just needed to fall away, has fallen away. And it's got it's making you feel like you are almost this kind of curious, adventurous sort of, I'm ready to try new things sort of person. It's incredibly healing, but it's not like chattery. You know, it's a calm, very wonderful sort of feeling. It's hard to describe. So let's look at this hooded man. Get a couple. Here's one card for this. So we've got the Crone of Fire. Okay. And what are we? There's really good. And again, this is around passion, but I'm trying to figure out what else is going on here. And we have the Maiden of Air in reverse. Okay, because this is very. So remember, this is that hidden energy. This is you've gone into the thinking cave and you have you've learned something, but you don't yet realize the benefit of what you've learned. And so what's kind of confusing me about this is it's the Crone of Fire, but there's all this earth energy in it. Okay, and it's just really there's a lot of earth energy in it, but it's still incredibly. It's like it's controlling, but it's also it's the one that should be in control. So there's going to be something here about oh, it's like a value that you're going to realize isn't what you thought it was, or your views on this value are not what you thought it was. So this is kind of an earth-shattering event when it comes to you. And it's interesting just the way this came to me. Basically, it's like a value that you were always raised with. You never really questioned it. It's part of your fabric. It's in your base chakra energy, and it's part of the reason maybe that you have not been completely formed in that base chakra area. Well, you've figured this out already. You've gone off into your thinking cave, and you've already figured this out. But it's going to benefit you down the road. But it's going to be a little bit shocking, I guess. It's going to be, and this is again that sort of watch out card. It's just that it's going to offend your sensitivities initially when you first realize it. Just give yourself a little bit of time. You're going to be fine. And so let's look into this Knight of Arrows. This was that quick, decisive action moving forward. Here we have, oh, Maiden of Earth. Okay, so this is, well, it's not necessarily, it may be a well-intentioned movement forward, but it's not necessarily, oh, we got one that's still turned over. That's not one for us. So this may be a well-intentioned movement forward, but it's not exactly the best thought out one that's ever happened. So Just be aware of that. This is your immediate next step, though, that we're looking at. And here we have the Three of Earth. And so this is like the Three of Pentacles. It is a very cooperative sort of card. It's things moving in a good direction, but there's not necessarily a strong foundation with it. That's the thing you have to watch out with that one. Um, and you know, it really depends. I wouldn't say that with all of the cards. I just think that's kind of part of the feeling that's coming off of it. So you have this. There's a movement. There's a decisive movement that's happening with you, or it's going to be involving you during the time of this full moon. Um, but it's not necessarily a very well thought out one. And I think this card just sort of echoes that. So watch for it. If it's something that is a decision you are trying to make, and maybe you're trying to jump into things, this could be just a warning to think things through, make sure it's really what you want to do. If you're observing it or if it's impacting you, again, be warned that it's happening, but just know if your role is to jump in and try and help reason through the best course of action, then, you know, maybe be aware that you may need to jump in and do that. Otherwise, just make sure that if it's you and you're making decisions, that you know why you're making them, you think through them well enough that you know how it's going to kind of impact you down the road. Because you are very open right now. You are very open right now, but you could be. I don't get the sense that this is you making like a huge mistake here, or that there is any sort of huge mistake. If anything, I see you recovering from what feels like a lifelong. It's not a value that's bad either. It's just an idea that as you evaluate it and you realize what you've learned, you understand that it no longer fits with you, because you are coming to a whole new level. You have come through another layer of your healing onion, you know, and you are coming to a new level. And it is by no means like, okay, great, I'm done, but it is incredibly cathartic. And so that's where we get some of this feeling here. You may see your relationships just sort of naturally improve a little bit because you're walking an inch taller, you're feeling a little bit lighter, you know, and that's part of what's happened here as well. And so there's that catharsis that's involved there as well. This may be cathartic, but it is also going to feel a little bit like a loss because you're going to realize, oh, hey, you know, something that I thought was true my whole life, I actually don't quite feel that way about. And then here, this one, what we have coming your direction, I think it's really just a be careful, because something isn't being especially well thought out. Um, it's an interesting message. It's an interesting message. I think we'll go into the extended, but we'll learn a little bit more about what this is that's likely to happen here, because it's kind of tied in with this energy up here. Well, it's actually, I would say all of this is tied in pretty nicely. But let's understand a little bit more of what's likely to happen. This is that energy of sort of that next step. But what does it evolve into, you know, and what is happening under the surface with you? Is there anything that you need to understand that's going to make this transition a little bit easier for you? You're moving to a beautiful place and it seems like you're almost right on top of it. Like there are some things that have happened here that have really changed you, but you're not done yet. So you're in this beautiful spot. There's love, there's this flow of emotion. It's now you're more open to it, you're able to access it better. But let's see what's likely to happen. So I am going to go ahead and stop this here. We'll go into the extended. We'll dig a little bit more deeply into it. But I would just say if this one resonated for you, please do like and share and subscribe just so that we can stick together. And otherwise, I would just say have a fantastic rest of the day, and I will see you in another reading.